Well, hey there, good morning and welcome to Still Up with 6. We took an extended weekend because today is actually a really big day, so we wanted to jump on here to make sure we answer all of your questions. We do want to say good morning and happy Wednesday to Chris, who's still joining us from home. Hey there, Chris.
Hey there, good morning to you, Heidi. Yeah, we're taking a break until we know that there's going to be a big deadline or a big day of questions. Of course, our big talker throughout Still Up with 6 over the past couple of weeks has been about the stimulus checks, and today is an important deadline for that, so we're going to dive into that in just a second. If you want to give us an update about what's going on with the stimulus checks, what people need to do right now, and the deadline that we're talking about.
So we know we've gotten a lot of questions about SSI recipients. Well, you guys might be waking up to some money in your bank accounts. They're expected to give those out today, so be sure to check for that. Also, there's a major deadline today. It's actually going to be at 11 a.m. local time, 12 Eastern, and that is to update your information on IRS's website, irs.gov, in order to make sure that you have the very most recent direct deposit information on file for your account in order to get your stimulus check. So those are the two big talkers today, is that a lot of SSI recipients will be getting their money, and there is a deadline to update your information. If you don't update it, you will end up being part of the paper checks that will be going out end of May, early June.
Yeah, end of May or early June. Yeah, I think that the big caveat here is that 11 a.m. So it's going to be 12 p.m. is the deadline, but that's Eastern time. So you've got to make sure you update your direct deposit information by 11 a.m. our time, Central time here in Texas. Now, we do want to remind you and keep reiterating that if you missed this deadline, it is not the end of the world. You will still receive your stimulus check. It will just be through the mail, and that will be closer to the end of the month, as Heidi mentioned, or early June. So that is what we are talking about this morning. So if you see the deadline and maybe you are watching this stream or seeing the article a little bit later in the day and you're panicking because you're thinking to yourself, well, I've missed the deadline, we want to remind you, you still will get your check. It's just going to take a little bit longer.
Now, this is an interesting question we've gotten from Mandy, saying that they went in, put all their information into the non-filers, got their portion, but nothing for any of the kids. They have 3 of them, 2 on SSI. Chris, I know that you've dove in deeper a little bit when it comes to your dependents. What can you tell us about that? And, of course, the age cap for that as well.
Yeah, Mandy, it would depend on the age of your children. So if you want to let us know how old your children are. But I know that I've talked to a number of different people that had that same issue. What was the problem is that you had to go in there again if you were a non-filer and fill out your dependent information for your children. Now, if your children were under the age of 17, they would be eligible for that. But if they were older than that or college age and you still filed them as a dependent, you were not eligible for that $500 per child extra credit there. What's the news about the second round of stimulus money? That's a good question as well, and I actually got a number of questions about that actually this morning. And Marianne, this is what we can tell you. People are getting very excited about a potential second round of stimulus checks. The big headline that has caught a lot of people's eyes is the potential for $2,000 a month for people who are eligible. We want to remind people that is a proposal from the House of Representatives. That is a proposal. So what that means that is the House Democrats are bringing that to the table. But we know the Senate is majority Republican, so that most likely will be shot down. So the chances of you getting $2,000 a month are pretty slim to none. Now, as for a second round of stimulus checks, that could be possible in the foreseeable future, but as for anything concrete, right now that just doesn't seem to be the case. So if you see that $2,000 a month article floating around online, the proposal is real, but just remember, it's a proposal. That doesn't mean it's going to get through Senate, doesn't mean it's going to get to even to the President's desk.
Yeah, and of course, that they're expected to vote on that come Friday. It was proposed yesterday from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. It's a $3 trillion package relief aid for COVID-19, which does include state and local aid as well as hazard pay for essential workers and a new round of stimulus checks. That's expected to be voted on come Friday. Of course, it's something we will watch closely, but as Chris mentioned, the Senate is majority run by Republicans who are expected to shoot this proposal from the Democrats down.
Yeah, absolutely. And some kind words coming in from Lori this morning. We appreciate your kind words, Lori. We're happy to try to help you stay informed. I think that there's been a lot of frustration, not only in my inbox, but I've seen on social media as well, Heidi, of people who have not received their stimulus check yet. And a lot of them are wondering why, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that thought that they had their direct deposit information all set up with the IRS and are now finding out that they're not part of that first, second, third round of stimulus checks that went out already. So I think that it's important right now, if you still haven't received your check, even if you think your direct deposit information is on file and is correct, jump into that tool. Jump into the IRS tracking tool. Double check your information, triple check your information, make sure it's all there, because this deadline is coming up and you don't want to have to wait a couple more weeks, which is the potential here for that paper check to come in the mail.
And you mentioned the tracking tool that they have on the website. We did drop that in the comments, so you can go ahead and click to that to see where your money is at. But Jason's saying never got a first round of stimulus check. And that's okay, because we actually asked a question this morning, all morning long, for our talker of the day, as we do every single morning. We asked today if people were still waiting for their stimulus check, and about 41% at last check said yes. So Jason, you are not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kimberly and Bill are both weighing in about the proposal. Yeah, it's most likely will be shut down, Kimberly. Bill is saying the new bill looked more like a wish list than a bill for America. Wish both sides work together on all of this and not fight for agendas. I think there has been a lot of frustration on both sides of the aisle from people who are both Democrat, people who are Republican, people who are moderate. Some frustration that not enough is getting done in Washington right now to help out some of these small businesses and these people struggling. Yeah, we hope for, as citizens, as voting citizens, that this is a nonpartisan issue. So I can understand some of that frustration.
Sabrina's weighing in, says, I updated my info on Get My Payment last week, the IRS page, and said my check was set to deposit on May 6th, but I still have not received it. I called the bank and they cannot see it pending, and the IRS is not answering live calls at this time. Sabrina, my advice would be, because you've already put in all your information and they did give you a date, I would just give it a little bit longer. Maybe today might be the day that you get it, but I would just be a little bit patient with especially because, you know, we're all still, you know, trying to navigate through this. I think the distribution process has been kind of confusing for a lot of people, and timely as well. So, Sabrina, I would give it a couple more days, as it hasn't even been 10 days yet, just to see where you're at, and just be a little bit more patient.
Marion is asking about the second round, and I want to, if you're just jumping in here and you're seeing talk about the second round of stimulus checks, we want to remind you that this is a proposal that will most likely be shot down. So I don't want to mislead anyone and say that there's a second round of stimulus checks coming out. The discussion around that is a Democratic proposal in the House of Representatives that most likely will be shot down in Senate. So I just don't want to get anyone's hopes up and make sure that there's no confusion there. Let's see, what else we got coming in here? My dad gets Social Security. They should have had his bank info. He has still not gotten his. Frustrating when they give you no option to speak to a live person. Yeah, the lack of ability to speak to live representatives has been a frustrating point for a lot of people. What I can tell you, Eddie, is that a lot of people on Social Security receive their benefits in the mail. Perhaps your dad, even if his bank information is on file, perhaps your father receives his benefits in the mail. And if that's the way that he receives his Social Security benefits, he will also receive his stimulus check in that manner. Now, he can jump in before 11 today and update that banking information and make sure that it's on file, and potentially he could get a direct deposit from that. But if he's getting his benefits from the mail, that is the way he'll receive his stimulus check as well.
That is important to know. Marcus asking, is there a way for adult dependents to get a check? The answer is no. While you can file your dependents who are older than the age of 17 for your taxes, you can't for the stimulus check. That was one of the things and guidelines that they put in place. They've got to be 16 and under in order to receive that bonus $500 for your family. So unfortunately, adult dependents over the age of 16 will not be getting any sort of money from the government when it comes to the stimulus check.
Yeah, and Marcus, there's a lot of frustration about some of the gray areas. Some of the specific demographics did fall through the cracks when it came to this round of stimulus check. College students were hit hard by this because I know a lot of college students are written off as dependents from their parents, but they were not eligible for the stimulus check as well. Belvin said, I tried to check my status, but no info available. I want to give you a little tip that I've been hearing from viewers, and again, I haven't independently verified this, but we've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. This is what I've been hearing. Now, whether or not this works or not remains to be seen, because I haven't gone into the system and tried it myself. But what I can tell you is if you're getting some of those error messages on the IRS tracking website, try putting your information in all capital letters. That means your banking information, that means your address, whatever that may be, your name. Put it in all capital letters. See if that goes through. I've been hearing from our viewers that has been a way to get around those error messages and for that information to be accepted.
Let's see. Jason's asking, how do we update our bank info? Did 2018 and 2019 taxes on H&R on May 2nd. Mailed in 18s. 19s was electronic. Can't get any info in its gov. So Jason's asking how to update bank information. That's what we're talking about today when it comes to the deadline. It's at 11 o'clock on the IRS's website. We have a link in the comments section there for you to update your bank information to get that stimulus check via direct deposit.
Yeah, and Lori's asking, good morning, what happens when IRS doesn't have the right addresses? And Kimberly, thanks for responding there. Yeah, you can update your address as well as the direct deposit information. So maybe you don't have direct deposit information, maybe you don't want to update your direct deposit information, but jump into that tool and you can, Lori, update your address in that tool. But do that before 11 a.m. today. I'm not quite sure if the address thing is the same as the direct deposit, but better be safe than sorry. Jump into that IRS tracking tool today really quickly, put it in all capital letters, your address, your new home address that you want to receive this check at, and that is the best way to make sure that the accurate information is on file with the IRS.
And Tanya is asking, did I miss questions on the SSDI getting their paycheck? And Chris, you've touched on the SSI recipients and SSDI recipients. What can you tell us about that?
Well, we mentioned a couple of moments ago that SSI recipients will most likely be getting their checks today. If not, they will get a mailed check over the next couple days. Friday, I think, is when the mailed checks are going out for SSI recipients. Now, SSDI and SSI, it depends on how you receive your benefits. Now, a lot of people haven't filed taxes, so that means that however you receive your typical benefits will be the way that you receive your stimulus check as well.
Laura's weighing in saying she was told by Jackson Hewitt that the money can't go on the card they gave you. Have to go to IRS website and add your bank account information. So that's really interesting insight coming in from Laura about depending on where you actually filed your taxes and did your tax return information. They're saying that you can't. If you use Jackson Hewitt, it won't go back on that card. So we do encourage everyone to go to the website that's in our comments, update your information, make sure it's correct, use the tools that are available in order to make sure that all the right information is on file in order to get your stimulus check, whether that's via direct deposit or in the mail.
Yeah, and Christina, quickly before we go, the website will not accept my changes. I'm not sure if you've tried this already, but we're hearing from a lot of viewers that if you use capital letters, that is the way that the people are getting around those stimulus check error messages. Let's see. Yeah, again, Jamie, maybe try the capital letter method that I just mentioned there, putting your information in all caps. That could be a way to get around it as well. We do have to sign off here on Still Up With 6, but I know that a lot of you have questions, and so the best thing to do is send me an email, crogers2@kcentv.com. I've been verifying these stimulus check questions for a number of weeks now, so I can get back to you each individually. We want to thank you so much for joining us here on Still Up With 6 and asking those questions and making sure that you have the right information to make sure that you're financially healthy and healthy as well in terms of the coronavirus right now.
Yeah, and we do want to remind everyone just to remain a little bit patient. They are trying to get those checks deposited into your accounts or trying to get those checks sent out. So if we didn't get to your question, hopefully you can go to the website, irs.gov, update your information if you can. Try and use caps lock for the font there, and we've got that link in the comments section, and we hope that's helpful before that 11 a.m. deadline. Thank you so much for tuning in on Still Up With 6. We will be back tomorrow, hopefully to continue the discussion. Until then, have a great and safe day.